Hi everyone, in this video we are going to talk about how to solve division problems using fractions. So this will go along with week 2, day 2 of your packet. So I'm going to have you all open up to the first day 2 page, which should look something like this. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the second problem. Okay, so I'm going to pull it up on my screen. And if you see right here, I rewrote the problem and I went ahead and drew out the model for us. Okay, so the problem that we're looking at is 10 divided by 3, meaning that we're separating 10 parts into groups of 3. So I went ahead and drew a few circles here and divided each of them into 3 because that's the number that we're dividing by. Okay, so the way that we would write this as a quotient or a fraction would be 10 over 3. Okay, so as a fraction, 10 divided by 3 is modeled as 10 over 3 or 10 thirds. Okay, the way that we would go about drawing that out is to set up circles and divide them into 3 because that's our denominator here. Okay, and then we're going to go through and count out 10 parts to see how many of these that fills up. So I might need a darker color. That's okay. Let's try green. Okay, so that's 1 part, 2 parts, 3, and you're going to set this up on your page. Just so you know, you need to have 4 circles, each divided into 3, and you need to be shading these in along with me. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. Remember, we're counting to 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, now in order to find my mixed number, I'm going to see how many holes I just shaded in. So how many full circles here are completely shaded in? That would be 1, 2, 3, right? We have 3 whole circles shaded in. And then I'm going to write what fraction of the last circle is shaded in. So I have 1 out of the 3 pieces there shaded in, right? So that's going to be 1 or 3 and 1/3. Okay, so 3 and 1 out of my last circle. So the problem in division is 10 divided by 3. That written as a quotient or an improper fraction would be 10 over 3. Okay, because it's telling us that we need to take 10 parts and divide it into 3 groups. When we set up our model, we draw out several circles and divide them each into 3. And then we go through shading each part until we get to 10 total parts shaded. After we do that, once again, to find the mixed number, we have to count how many whole circles are shaded, which here is 3, right? 1, 2, and 3. And then 1 out of the 3 pieces of this circle is shaded. So that's how I got my 1/3. Okay, so this is what your answers for that second problem on day 2 are going to look like. All right, now we're going to go ahead and look at the page that says day 2 continued. Okay, so the page is going to look like this, and we're going to look at problems 1 and 2. So our instructions are to draw a model of the situation, then write the fraction represented by it. Okay, so when you're looking at those problems, the first one is 1 whole shared by 8 people. So that tells us that we have 1 whole, let's say pizza, right? We have 1 entire pizza. So I drew 1 whole circle. That circle is shared by 8 people, meaning we need to have 8 total slices in it so that each person gets a slice. Okay, so to do that, you divide your circle into 8 pieces. Okay, and then when we're writing the fraction that's represented by this, one way you can think about that question is how much pizza would one person get? Well, if it's shared by 8 people and there's only one pizza, each person would get 1/8 of the pizza, right? They would get 1/8 of a whole pizza. So each piece in this represents 1/8. Okay. Now if we go down or over and we look at number 2, it says 2 wholes or 2 pizzas shared by 5 people. That first number is telling me that I have 2 whole pizzas. Okay? We can assume that each pizza is split among those 5 people. Each person has 1 slice of each pizza. Maybe one's a sausage, one's a pepperoni, each person there wants 1 of each. Okay, so each person gets 1 slice of each pizza. So I have to divide each whole into 5 pieces. Once I do that, I have to answer the question, what fraction does this represent? Well, if one person gets 1 piece of each pizza, that would be 2/5 because it means that they got 2/5 of an entire pizza, right? So that would be 2/5. Okay, that's how much pizza each person gets here. Each person would get 2/5 of an entire pizza because they would get 1 slice here and 1 slice here. Okay, so if you'll notice, that's the same as taking this number, the number that's our whole, and putting it on top as our numerator, and the number that we're dividing it by, the parts of the whole, down here in the denominator. Okay, so that is how you are going to go about doing the second page of your homework. And before we stop, I want to look real quick at a story problem on that page as well. So if you go down, you'll see the story problem for number 9. If 5 pounds of pecans are to be divided equally into 3 bags, how many pounds of pecans will each bag contain? Okay, so we have 3 bags and we have 5 pounds split into those 3 bags. Okay, so my answer is going to be 5/3, because when I divide it out, or when I separate it out in like a model and separate it out into the bags, each bag would have 5/3 of a pound of pecans, or 1 2/3 pounds of pecans. Okay, so if I was writing that as a mixed number, so going back to that lesson that we had the day before, it would be 1 2/3 pounds in each bag. Okay, and I'm going to write my little label for pounds here, LBS, because it's important that we label our answers. Okay, so I know that this is correct because if I were to add them all together, 5/3 plus 5/3 plus 5/3, that would give me 5 whole pounds, right? So your answer to number 9 is going to be 1 2/3 pounds. I hope that this video helped you to understand how to model division using fractions just a little bit better. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Have a good day.